somebody in this group's got one of those. And, yeah, I believe it's the B4NKL. I believe he's got one. I think he said he is having to wind some coils for his or something like that. He got it, but it only had one set of coils with it or something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, Dave, go ahead and pick it up, and nobody comes in and give it over to Billy, I think. W4LLR or K4YBC.
Am I now, or am I some other place?
You're after Billy.
After Billy, okay.
Yeah, and then I heard Greg too, so. Anyway, Dave, give it to KF4DRN, then back up to. I sat there and called that call out and wrote it down differently than what I called it. Being a little dyslexic this morning, put the 4 before the F, or the horse before the cart, as the old saying goes. Good morning, doll. I'll hang around for a little while, but I got to, for one thing, I run off and left my level at home. I'm supposed to be preparing a lot today for one of the buildings to sit. And I got to go get my tractor, get some diesel for it, and road it over to where the building's going to go. And, sometimes I shouldn't have done it, but I wanted to sell, and then I'll make a little on the digging out, I guess. Anyways, pretty fair here, cloudy. Let's see exactly what we got. Saying 49 degrees. Not supposed to rain till Friday. I shouldn't have done it, but so I guess everything's well. WA4LLR to pick it up. KL4SSY.
Okay, KL4SSY in the group. WA4LLR, good morning to everybody. 44 degrees, and I think it's mostly clear, but I'll have to look again. It was still kind of dark when I got up. Anyhow, hope everybody's doing well today. And I thought I'd run the ART-13 again today, and listing on a 180, Hammerlin HQ 180 that I picked up at Shelby this year. I think I'm going to have to replace some capacitors in there. I've got some hum going on. But anywho, let's see. I believe you said I'd turn it to Greg. KF4DRN, WA4LLR.
K4JAL.
WA4LLR, KF4DRN. I'm having a little technical difficulties. I believe we got something else, man. Able to hear me or not, but something not loading up right this morning, halfway or not. For some reason, anyway, I want to say good morning to everybody. KF4DRN.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Roger, good morning, guys. K4JAL. I'm on the little LMAC this morning. Probably doing about 25 to 28 watts. The swirl left. I can't understand that. It just cured itself, but I'm tickled to see it. I'd rather have electric skill anyway. Back over to you, Steve. N4LQ, K4JAL.
All right. N4LQ. Sounding good. Greg, I could just barely hear you. I don't know what the deal is, but maybe it'd be a good day to use the amplifier. But LMAX sounds good, Jimmy. And like I said, I'm on the Lettine 240 and running it into the amplifier, and it's a little hot. Yeah, about 300 watts. So Lettine uses plug-in coils, and the output impedance, I don't think, is 50 ohms. and so my auto antenna tuner doesn't like it. So I had to tune up the auto tuner with the ICOM, and then turn that off and save the settings in memory so it wouldn't change when I fired up the Lettine. And until I do that, the SWR is about 3 to 1. That's really strange looking. Then I turn on the amp, and the SWR drops back down to 1 to 1 because it's got a 50 ohm output. So kind of a hodgepodge arrangement. I'd like to never got it set up last night. But anyhow, sounds like it might be working. Let me give the order here. It goes to YBC, and then SSY, LLR, and DRN, and JAL. So go ahead, cuz K4YBC, N4LQ.
N4LQ, K4YBC. Man, that thing sounds really good, Steve. It sounds beautiful. Great audio, and of course you got a booming signal up here in Lenore this morning. Sounding good. Not much going on here today. I think I may venture out and work in a yard again today. I've almost got all my leaves up, almost, so I think another good day of raking, or not raking. I don't rake them. I suck them up with a tractor, but and munch them up and all that good stuff. But hopefully I'll finish that up today. Good morning to you, Jimmy. The little LMAC sounds great, buddy. And it seems like they don't need a lot of power to punch a signal through. So, sounding good. And Dave, the ART-13, man, that's a beautiful rig. I'd love to have one. That's always been on my bucket list. Maybe one day. I've got this, what is it? BC-224 or something I got from you, Dave. It would look good with the ART-13, for sure. K4SSY, K4YBC.
Alrighty. Mighty fine. Well, good morning once again to everyone, and you, Mr. Jimmy. Sounding good again today, as you was yesterday. And anyways, I think I'm going to switch over this time around and get on that other rig just to Cliff and them said the audio was low on it yesterday. I'm going to see if I can pick that up this morning. I need to exercise that little unit anyways. I think I've got this one back halfway doing what it's supposed to be doing. So we'll see. WA4LLR to pick it up. K4SSY.
AM4RCL.
All right. Recognizing Chad, was there anybody else? Okay, Chad, you'll come right after Jimmy. K4SSY in the group. WA4R. Greg, you might want to check your antenna or something because you are in the noise this morning. I don't think it's just band conditions. I don't know if something's not set right or what's going on. Or maybe on the wrong antenna or something, but you're about as weak as I've ever heard you. So I don't know what's taking place. Well, let's see. Had church service up at the jail last night. Had a good time with the inmates, and then went out to Pig and Grits and got some supper after that. Had a good evening. And yesterday I spent quite a bit of time blowing leaves. Had the leaf blower going and cleaned out around the house and the yard, and put most of them over on the garden. Let them mulch out a little bit this year and see if that helps any. But not a whole lot more going on. Looks like today's probably about the last day of warm weather, starting to cool down a little bit. Well, I hope they're right. I hope we do get some rain towards the weekend. I'll send it back down to you, Greg, see if you found anything to get a little more signal going. KF4DRN, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, KF4DRN. They just got a blown fuse on the antenna. Got like a fuse as far as DX engineering antennas. I believe there's something went open about my antenna. I'll make this my license transmission. Anyway, I'll say 7-3 for next time around. KF4DRN.
KO4DRN, K4JAL. Well, you're still down in the mud, Greg. You got a lot of modulation, but not much carrier, so if that makes any sense. You know, I'm tempted to get over and put the 811 back on this little rig. I'd have to use the shunt, the dummy shunt, and but I don't think I need it. I just use this on this frequency anyway. I bought myself an antique I-177 tube tester, and I guess I've got to go through it. It'll test these old amplifier tubes, and it'll test the 6L6 good, but it won't test an 811. So I got to get in there and find out what's ailing it, or either blow it up, which might be a better idea. KN4RCL, my buddy Chad, K4JAL. Good morning, Chad.
KN4RCL, good morning. Got 42 degrees up here this morning, and hopefully it won't get too much colder and everything. Seems to me, you know, they tend to rain, but the temperature's about the same. What I've seen the next little bit, I'll send it on around, and about time for Rick to get in here. KM4RCL.
Okay, anybody else want to join in? It's kind of quiet today. N4LQ. Yeah, well, yesterday was leaf day here, and I got on the tractor and went out there and ground them all up, blew them off the road in the driveway, and didn't take any time using the tractor. And you can't tell there was ever a leaf there. The tractor does a wonderful job of grinding those things up. And, of course, I don't have a lot of leafy trees. I got pine trees and magnolias don't, they shed their leaves a little bit all year long, and they're just big old stiff things, but that's never a problem. I like those magnolias. And today I'm going to stain some shelves that I built. I'm putting a shelf up over this Lettine. Maybe it's about 3 feet wide and going to be 2 shelves. And cut the plywood last night, and I will stain it this morning and let it dry for don't usually let it dry very long, certainly not enough, and put those on the wall, and then I'll load it up with boat anchors. And oh, Dave, your ART13, that's the best sounding transmitter. I think I've told you before. It's the best you've got, and it is really excellent sounding. And your AF68 sounds good, Jimmy. It's not real strong, but it sounds good. And congrats on the tube tester. And it's too bad somebody doesn't make a tube tester that tests all the transmitter tubes. It wouldn't be a real complicated thing, but it'd be heavy because the filament transformer would have to be rather large for some of these things that take 10 amps of current. Well, the Lettine is still holding up. It uses an 807 in the final, and the modulator is plate modulation, and it uses a pair of 6L6s. And there's one other tube that does the oscillating. Forgot what that is, but that's it. There's no buffer. And there's no load control on it. There's just plate tuning, and that's it. And the manual says to increase the loading until the plate doesn't dip very very deep. But it doesn't tell you how to change the loading, and there isn't no control. And I think originally it had like those B&W type coils where you could kind of bend them around a little bit, change the coupling. But those aren't there. Somebody made coils out of plug-in plastic things. Oh well, I'll figure it out. Over to you, cuz K4YBC N4LQ.
K4NKL.
Well, we had a double there, WK4R, and who was the other station?
NKL.
Okay, NKL, real fine. We'll work you in, guys. And I was just going to say, Steve, that Cliff's got one of those Lettines, I think he said. And he was going to maybe line some calls for it or something, I'm not sure, but he can fill us in on that one. But it sounds good. I mean, that thing's got beautiful audio. Sounds really good. I remember when I was a kid, they first came out. I was always look at them in a QST magazine. You know how they always advertise the different equipment. Now, I saw that one. I always thought that was a neat rig. I wanted one, but I couldn't afford it at the time. I don't think they made a lot of them, but they're a neat little rig. KO4SSY, K4YBC.
Alrighty, well, this thing stayed a little closer in tune today. I got enough audio. Hello.
Sounds good to me.
Alright. Just yesterday, Cliff and them said it was a little weak on the audio. Was just jamming that meter in the back now and holding it there. So I don't know what that's about. Meter may need something on it. And it may be overmodulating. So, anyway, good morning, Rick and Cliff. I guess Rick will come after Shadwick and over Cliff. If nobody else comes in, they'll go back to Steve. The coils in this one there, Steve, are a plug-in also, and in the center of that coil has a hinged piece that you slide in and out to get that thing just where it needs or wants to be. So yeah, I don't know if it's something like that was what that come with originally or what, but it sounds like it might be the case. WA4LLR to pick it up. KO4SSY on the little Champ 175.
Okay, KO4SSY in the group, WA4LLR. I'm hearing a carrier on Billy's signal that I was not hearing when he was on the other rig. Maybe it's a difference in signal strength. Maybe the carrier was there and he was just covering it with the earlier rig. But I didn't hear a heterodyne with him on that first rig, but on this one I did. So I don't know if some of you other guys can comment on that. Let's see here. The Lettine sounds good, Steve, and thanks for the compliments on the ART13 audio. I appreciate it. I was looking at a little article here. I see that the FCC has removed the baud rate restrictions on digital on HF. You know, used to when 300 baud on HF and 1200 VHF. And now they're just limiting it to bandwidth. Whatever baud rate you can run and keep it to 2.8 kilohertz, they're going to allow. So I guess some higher speed digital on the lower frequencies now. Kind of interesting. Other than that, good morning to Chad and Rick and Cliff. Everybody's doing a good job down here today. I believe Greg bowed out, and I'll go ahead and send it on over to Jim. And Jim, the LMAC, the mighty LMAC sounds good. K4JAL, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, K4JAL. Yeah, I'm awful proud of it. It cured itself of all that swirl I used to have. I ain't going to mess with trying to amplify this little guy. I like it the way it is. Everybody can hear it on this band, and that's about the only place I use it. Anybody got any pointers on a curing an I-177 that won't talk to an 811, let me know. I got it. It'll do some power amplifiers, but it won't do that one. So I think I've got something amiss inside. Who knows? KN4RCL, K4JAL.
KN4RCL in the group, mighty fine. As far as I can tell, Rick, you're number 7, and Cliff, you be number 8. That's what I got, keeping score this morning. Went there yesterday and got me took the dump truck out for its monthly cruise and went up to town, run some errands. Bought a tag up there at the license plate office in DMV, and went around and run some errands and brought back a load of gravel to add to my collection. So I like to fire up gravel. It's a hobby of mine, getting the gravel and bring it back here, and that way I'll have it in case I ever need it. It works out pretty good. So I reckon I should be good for this year. I don't know if I'll be able to do December when they start snowing and putting stuff on the road. I'm done for the year because I don't get my truck out in salt and sand. If I did, it would have been rusted out and gone a long time ago. KN4RCL. Go ahead there, Ricky. WK4R.
WK4R. Well, thank you, Chad. Good morning, everybody. Chad, I think you're going to end up selling. You must know something we don't know, because you're going to stockpile all that stuff. Then you can sell it back to the state one day, because they're going to need it, and it's going to be your retirement package to increase your income when you get older. I'm convinced of it. Anyway. Dave, that's interesting about changing the baud rate on HS. And 2 meters could go to 9,600, maybe faster now, I don't know. But anyway, if they can keep it in 2.8 bandwidth, that means that you'll see a lot more software get written, probably. Or some of it will be reworked that we've got. They still got noise. I don't know. Some of those guys are pretty slick to write that software. So all these people that love FT8, there'll be more stuff that's even more efficient, I'll bet, in the near future. WB4NKL, WK4R.
And WK4R, WB4NKL. Okay, Rick. Good signals this morning. Everybody's sounding decent. Billy, I don't think you're overdriving any. Sounds pretty good this morning. It's got about 42 degrees here. Mark, I think, has decided to go with us to Fort Wayne, so that looks like the trip is on there for Friday. We leave here Friday and try to go by Fire Radio and take that in. So that's what we're planning on there right now. So I think we're going to take Chuck's little new car that he got, a little Nissan, so that's going to limit the size of the boat anchors. That's a good thing, I guess. Or either that or we'll be renting a U-Haul after we get up there. I don't know who gets it next. Go ahead. This WB4NKL.
And WB4NKL N4LQ. Well, you better be sure he's got a trailer hitch on that thing. Yeah, that's too bad. You really should take a bigger vehicle up there. If you're going to Fair Radio, they're probably having a Black Friday fire sale there. So you're going to come back with a boatload of stuff. Are you going to stop on the way up there or on the way back? That might make a difference. Yeah, the baud rate thing, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, that means the sky's the limit. Whatever they can cram in the 2.8 KC, that's what they're going to do. And I think that's going to really change things, because that was a dumb law. They weren't thinking when they wrote that one. They weren't thinking ahead. But so that's good. 2.8 KC. I'm not sure if I don't guess there really is a limit. It's just whatever gets designed and invented. And let's see. What about this? Oh, here in carriers, there's a couple of carriers on each side of us, and they're just there. I've got them filtered out here, but if you're not real strong, they will kind of get into the passband. And Billy, okay, on the Globe, I didn't realize the Champ had plug-in coils. That's the old Champ, I guess. So that's pretty cool. This one had plug-in coils that look like B&W coil stock on a plug-in, and the link to the antenna was about 3 or 4 turns, and it's set out beside it on the end, and it didn't have any adjustment on it. And all I can find is other people's pictures of the original. The manual is just totally useless. And somewhere there should be a better manual, because these things were kits, and they were made in Mr. Lettine's basement. And I'm pretty sure most of them were hand-built. And there's just, all there is like one page, and then a schematic that somebody corrected and improved and put it on Bama. Then all these other companies copied it. That's about all there is. So I'd like to find the original manual. It may have a little more information, but I think a lot of it was left up to your imagination. So go ahead there, cuz the K4YBC N4LQ.
N4LQ K4YBC. Let me move back down the band a little bit. I'll run up the band a little. Okay. Real fine. Well, that thing sounds really good, Steve. All I can say. Got great audio. Sounds really good. And I hope maybe you can find the original schematic on it. And Cliff, you might comment on yours. I think you got one. I remember back when they first came out, looking at the pictures of them, I just drooled over that little rig. I really wanted one, but way out of my price league at the time. So And I don't think I've ever seen one since, at a ham fest or anywhere. I don't think I've ever seen one. Oh well. And Bill, I was getting a courier on you too after you switch rigs, so I don't know what that's all about. KO4SSY, K4YBC.
Roger. Well, one thing, this thing's crystal controlled, and I'm probably about 1 inch high, so, or something like that, 1/2 inch to 1 inch. So, that might be some of it, and of course I'm only doing 125 watts instead of leaving limits. So, that would be number 2, I'd assume. And, probably shouldn't do that, because generally you become those first 3 letters. Yeah, just, I don't know, things starting to run together here. I finally did get somebody hired to work the office, so, you know, I keep saying, I don't know why in the world, I ain't never got no time. Well, last year I had a lady working for me all year, and I could come and go and do things, leave if I wanted to and be gone, but I hadn't had nobody this year until the other day, and I finally hired a lady, and so I all of a sudden realized, well, you dumb tail, that's why you had more time last year, and maybe I'll get a little more this year. She's going to work out very well. Of course, today is her day off, and the office is going to be unattended for a little while because I've got to go out and build take the tractor and do a site for a building. One of those things that the customer talked me into because I guess everybody else was wanting too much money. He figured he could get it cheaper from me. We'll see about that. Anyways, let's see. I think WA4LLR to pick it up. KO4SSY.
KO4SSY in the group. WA4LLR. Well, I think that's what it was, Bill, the difference in power level, because for most of that transmission, I didn't hear it. I could hear them come and go occasionally, but it's not anything on your signal. It's the difference in power level that was letting some of those weaker carriers show through. But it's not an issue. You're covering up fine. And glad you got some help there at the office. Give you a little breathing room. Well, I was looking at the weather. They're saying we're supposed to get up to 57 today, and mainly cloudy, I think, or partly cloudy. And then 40% chance of rain on Friday and a 44% chance on Saturday. And then possibility on Tuesday of next week. So we'll see. And I was looking at another little news article. It looks like Elon is going to try to launch the big rocket again Friday, if nothing happens. If the fish and wildlife people don't come up with something about the endangered spotted tree penguin. I was reading a report about what all they've made him do. He had to give them a statistical report on the probability of falling debris hitting a shark. And they had to capture a seal, or was it a sea otter, some kind of critter, and subject it to sonic booms to see how bad it scared it. I'm telling you, we got some interesting bureaucrats out there, and tree huggers. Golly, Ned, howdy. Anyway, it'd be interesting to see if the big bird flies this time. I think he said he was giving it a 60-something% chance of achieving orbit. So he said either way it ought to be a good show. So I hope he gets the big bird to fly Friday. K4JAL, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, K4JAL. Yeah, I was reading that FCC article on widening the baud rates. They've discovered that they might need ham radio in case of emergencies. All their high-flown stuff doesn't always work. But when you have bureaucrats at the controls, that may be the problem. I noticed in put forward somewhere this article on an electrical device that is supposed to be able to create acceleration. They set it up, put it in orbit to see if it can defy all the Newtonian laws of mass and energy and motion. That'll be interesting. I imagine they're going to fail. Chad, you might know about that. KN4RCL, K4JAL.
KN4RCL, I didn't copy what you said I knowed about, Jimmy. But I'll tell you about something I do know about. I looked up at Fair Radio Sales website, and they are going out of business after it says after being in the surplus electronic military radio business for 50 years, I have decided it's time to return close to business. They'll have numerous items in inventory, some at discounted prices, and now is the time to purchase cash and carry. So they got a note here on the website. They have sold all their vacuum tube inventory. So it's got looks like a lot of heavy, big stuff, military radio stuff. If he's got it discounted, you might be a good price on a lot of stuff as it's being liquidated. So, Cliff, you might ought to look about getting a trailer or something to U-Haul when you get up there. At KN4RCL. And looks like that fair radio is going to be there until maybe May, they said. Then that becomes good. Go ahead, Rick, WK4R.
Okay, Chad, WK4R. I am not familiar with the Lettine, I think you called it, radio. Not sure how it's spelled. Apparently not the way it sounds to my ears. If somebody could tell me how it's spelled, or it sounds like Latine, but I'm not finding anything on the internet that way, so maybe it's a different version, but I'd like to see a picture of it anyway. Maybe there's not one. Maybe it's what I was trying to say. And they love to pick on poor Elon. Man's helped a lot other than makes a car that nobody can afford. But anyway, W4NKL, WK4.
WK4R, WB4NKL. I swapped here to an LMAC that's only putting out about 15 watts, so hopefully everybody can copy me. It's Chuck's rig, and I thought I'd try it out here. Is my modulation all right?
Sounds good to me.
All right. He's got a 2E26 in the final, and don't run quite as much power as a regular LMAC. Rick, that's Lettine, Lettine. And yeah, I've got one. Mine looks really good, but I've only got the 40 meter coils for it. I need to try to scrounge around and see if I can find some 75 meter stuff to put in it. It's a good looking little rig. He used looks like galvanized metal. Looks like he'd been up the chassis there in his basement shop. Kind of odd looking chassis. You don't see that too often. But, I need to, like I say, I need to get mine tuned up on 75. It come with 40 meter coils. Yeah, Chad, I knew Fair Radio was going out. I think been in business since 1946, so that's, they got into surplus business early. I guess World War II is what got them started. And my uncle used to order stuff from them when I was a kid. I remember he got a mine detector, and I don't know what all, but he always had their catalogs, and I was looking through them. So I just mostly want to go to say that I went to Fire Radio while they were still in business. So hopefully I won't find anything. I'm not really looking for anything military except I've got a TCS transmitter. I wouldn't mind finding a TCS receiver sometime. If they got one of them laying around, I might be tempted. I can't think of anything else that I really need to look at. And Jimmy, I was reading that article you sent a link to on the quantum engine. I got my doubts about that. They're going to make a couple orbits to see if anything changes, and they're going to turn it on and see if it deflects the orbit a little bit. So it's not going to be a real powerful thing. Of course, it might be scaled down, but I've got my doubts about that doing anything. Go ahead, Steve. N4LQ is WB4NKL.
WB4NKL, N4LQ. Anybody else want to check in? Okay, well, I just snapped a picture of the Lettine and put it on the group email list, so should be in your inbox there, Rick. And this thing has been totally redone. The guy that did it was an engineer for WBT, and I think TV. He was a transmitter engineer, and he passed away. But his estate sold off his stuff, and I was there at the sale. And this is one of the things that I came back with. And I don't think he was a licensed ham, but he would take on these projects, and he took this thing completely apart, every single piece, and painted the chassis a beautiful shade of gray and put everything back together with brand new parts. So it's all new. Even the cabinet somehow has been refinished and re-lettered, I guess. It's unlikely that it's survived all these years without a scratch, but it's absolutely flawless. So I don't think you'll ever see another one like this. And it's like I said, it was built in Mr. Lettine's basement. There's an article somewhere on the web. It was probably in Electric Radio or somewhere about how these were built. I think the guy's brother or somebody was in on it, but they just did this for a few years, and I'm pretty sure they were kits. I don't know if they ever sold them assembled or not, but because if you saw them in QST, you might fill us in on that, but I think maybe they were available either way. But they got a key jack and a mic jack on it, and they operated CW or phone. The crystal socket was originally inside, and some people cut a hole and put a crystal jack on the front, which is probably a sensible thing to do. But this one has got the original octal jack, octal socket inside for the crystal with the right holes plugged up, so you can't plug the crystal in the wrong jack. So you got to shut it off and reach in there in between all the coils and plug in a crystal. There was a VFO that he sold, and I'd love to find that. But I think all the VFO was a variable capacitor and a coil. I don't think it had. I don't think it was active, and it just plugged with a, I think, twin lead or something. Went in through the lid and plugged into the crystal socket somehow. So that was kind of a kludge. But anyway, I would love to find one of those, but I'm relegated to never seeing that. But at least it's plate modulated, and it's got a big old modulation transformer in it. And it's kind of, I think the modulator runs a lot more power than the 807 Final. K4YBC. I want to say something else. Dave, that was hilarious about the tree penguins and the sharks and the otters. And I've been reading several places about otters, not sea otters, but not land otters, but freshwater otters attacking people and almost killing them. I mean, this one attacked a guy and just bit the tar out of him. Nobody knows what's going on with otters, but I'd say you ought to stay away from them. And Fair Radio going out of business, yeah, they started that stuff 6 months ago or so, and it reminds me of, I used to look at a jewelry store. I go by it every day, and it said going out of business, and it's that way for about 3 years. K4YBC, N4LQ.
N4LQ, K4YBC. Yeah, it's kind of like these mattress stores up in Hickory. I know that one is going out of business for the last 10 years. Oh, well. And I hate to hear that Fair Radio going out, because they've been an ICOM for war surplus equipment and everything for many, many, many years. I remember you could get a ARC 5s or those command sets, for practically nothing. And a lot of people use them a lot. I remember working novices when I was a novice, running those ART, or the command set transmitters and so forth. And Steve asked me about, I can't remember. I remember seeing them advertised in QST magazine, but I can't remember if they actually had a wired model or not. But I'm thinking they did. I'm thinking they would sell them to you in a kit, or you could get them wired. I'm not sure of that, but it seems like you could buy them already assembled. Seems like. I'm not sure. Oh well, it sounds good. That's for doggone sure. Well, I'm gonna get out of here, gentlemen. I got a lot of things I need to get done. Enjoyed it this morning. Everybody have a good one, and we'll look for you tomorrow. KO4SSY, K4YBC.
Alrighty, cuz, K4YBC and the group KO4SSY returning. Well, I don't know. I think I'd told you before, too, Steve. This is the 175, which is a two-piece. It's not like the 350 or whatever. So I ain't never seen another one. This is the only one I've ever seen. I guess it's a little bit on the rarer side than a lot of them too. Cliff may have seen some around, I don't know, but it does a pretty good job. I'm pretty happy with it. So it's very peaky and ticky to tune. That little old tube, I forget the tube in there, but it's real easy to blow up trying to tune it. And the way they wanted you to tune it is put a key in the back and use the key where you get no audio. So I guess the way I do it now is I just turn the audio plumb off until it's tuned up, and then you're good to go. But you gotta, if you're using just the switches on the front, you gotta key it in sequence and then key it backward, unkeys backwards. Like I said, it's quite the. It took me a little while to get it figured out how to tune it up, and it had that adjustable. Well, darn, I ain't gonna be able to think of what I'm trying to say. Anyways, that was bad on it when I first got it. It wouldn't make no audio, but found one of those on Fleabay and got it and put in there, and it come right alive. So. Pretty neat little piece. Yeah. To go along the side of Globe King and so forth and so on. I wish they had I wish Globe had a receiver, but I don't think I've ever seen one of them. I looked through that book. Don't believe I ever seen one. So anyway, that book's pretty neat too to go through and look at a lot of this old stuff that I ain't never seen still today. And there's a lot of it still out there that just never has made it through, I don't guess, unless it's still stored up in some basement in the Northeast or somewhere where they had the money to buy that kind of stuff in the day. WA4LLR. So pick it up, KO4SSY.
KO4SSY in the group. WA4LLR. All right, fine business. 7-3 you, Dave. Hope you have a good day. And don't get into too much trouble. Talking about going out of business, I always laughed at Satellite Sam Adams at Hamfest. Every year it was going out of business, final sale, all must go. And it must have been quite successful because he's been doing it for how many years, I don't know. Yeah, I remember Fair Radio quite well. Back when I was a early teenager, me and a friend of mine used to order junk from them and buy it by the pound. They had these different junk boxes or whatever. You bought so many pounds of stuff, you never knew what you were going to get. We got radar altimeters. We got, let's see, what the heck was that thing? We got some military VHF gear. I don't know. We had a lot of fun with Fair Radio. My friend got one of those transmitters on the police frequency. But we'll not go into that. I hope the statute of limitations has run out on that particular thing. Anyhow, on my next transmission, I'm going to come back on the Ranger. I swapped microphones on it, and I want to see if the hum's still there. So next transmission, listen a little closer because I'll be running less power. K4JAL and the group, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, K4JAL. Well, I got stuff I got to do. First thing I got to do is get me something to eat. It's close enough to Thanksgiving. I may go eat a pumpkin. Over to you, Chad, KN4RCL, K4JAL73.
Yeah, the pumpkins are probably getting permitted and right now, and it might get good and right for you, Jimmy. Put in a pipe for Thanksgiving or something like that. I'm going to go ahead and say 73 on this one and get on with my day. Enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you in the morning. KM4RCL. WK4.
Okay, Chad, WK4R. Yeah, the Lettine 240, I think that might be the one that does the one for HF. It reminds me of another AM radio, and I can't put my finger on which one it is. Of course, I guess a lot of them were made similar at one time or another. Dave, I'll try to listen to you when you come back, but I may be gone. Time to try to figure out some more train stuff here today. Got a bunch done yesterday, but still not enough. And we're going to be gone the rest of the week to South Carolina, so I won't be back till next week. So I'll say 73. Everybody have a good one. And I will listen for a while, but be back next week. W4NKL, WK4R clear.
WK4R. WB4NKL 73's Rick, Jimmy, Chad. Everybody's bailing here, sounds like. It's Steve, I sent you a picture of my 240 Lettine. It looks real good. I got it out of a online auction out of Texas. I don't think they'd give very much for it. And then a friend of mine picked it up, so I didn't have to pay shipping on it. But it's like I say, it's been rebuilt. Somebody's went through and replaced all the electrolytics and all the capacitors, and they did a good job. But there was probably some 75-meter coils at one time, but they got separated from it. I've got the 6-meter version of it around here somewhere. It's I forget what it is. It looks exactly like same cabinet and everything. It's push-pull modulated with seemed like a 6146. I guess fella could convert it over to HF pretty easy. It might have an extra tube in there between the oscillator and the finals. I'm not sure. Forget the number on it, but it looks almost identical to the 240, except it's 6 meters only. Let's see. I guess that's about all I got here. I'll send it on around. M4LQ, WB4NKL.
Okay, N4LQ. I sent out another picture. I found the ad in QST, and the 240 transmitter. Of course, now it was supposed to be used mobile in addition to in the house, and this would have been a rather large thing for mobile use, and it would have taken a pretty good amount of power, especially since it's got an internal power supply. So, and I think most, like mine, most of the 12-volt leads have been taken off. Apparently, it was already assembled in a 8x14x8 cabinet, and it came with 40-meter coils, and then the other coils were an option. 80-40-20 coils were $2.91 per band, and the 160 coil was $3.60. And the ad says it'll cover 1.6 to 30 megahertz. Now, what got my eye here was the model 130 for 120 to 130 watts. So that's like triple the power. And it doesn't say anything about it. It's $199, which is let's see, $80 for this one, and this big one is $199, and I have never heard of it. I'll do a search on it, but I don't think I'll find anything. I'd love to find out what in the world that was that ran that much power. And I've got the 242, the 6-meter job. I think it was Glenn, N4AK, gave me the thing, and he took it apart piece by piece. Every single part came out, and he put it all in a box and gave it to me. And so it's still sitting there in the box. I think I took a tube out of it once and robbed it, but otherwise it's still all there, and it's all taken apart. If somebody wants to put it together, I'd be glad to contribute to that deranged idea. Anyhow, over to you, Cuz, and I'm anxious to hear that Ranger, Dave. K4YBC, N4LQ.
He got out, I believe. Let me check.
Yep.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, 7-3s to Chad and Rick. And everybody jumping out. I don't think Cliff signed yet. I think he was just finishing up that particular session. Anyways, I didn't hear him say. But yeah, they're starting to call, so I'm gonna make this my last one. And anyways, I've got to go take care of an issue here, so dadgummit. everybody have a good day, and tonight's church night, so I don't know if I'll make it to the slot bucket net or not. So if I don't, you'll know why. And we'll catch y'all whenever, maybe in the morning or something. 7-3 for now. KO4SSY, clear. Hold you, Dave. WA4LLR, KO4SSY, clear.
Alrighty. KO4SSY and the group. WA4LLR. Well, 7-3, Bill. Rick, Chad, Jimmy, Dave. About everybody has bailed out. But I swapped heads on the D104 that I had hooked to this to see if that might make a difference. That didn't seem to. So I figured before trying to tear in the transmitter, I'd just go ahead and change the whole mic out. So I'll put this other D104 on. This one, the one I had before, was non-powered. This one is. It's amplified. It may be too hot. I don't know. But the main thing I'm concerned about is the hum, so if it's still there, we know it's internal. So let's see, who's left? Cliff. WB4NKL, WA4LLR.
It's WB4NKO. I don't detect, well, I'm running an old LMAC receiver with a small speaker. I don't detect any hum with this setup, Dave, but you can bring the audio gain back down quite a bit. It's a little hot, so that probably help it. It sounds good now. I think the mic might have been your biggest problem. Go ahead, Steve. Is that your impression?
Yeah, way too hot. Try bringing that down, Dave. Go ahead.
Here, let's see. Hello, 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3. That's down considerable. Did that make any difference?
Nope. It's still pushing about 800% modulation. I don't know. Is that a power mic?
Yeah, it is. Hang on, I'll bring it down some more. Hello, 1 2. Good night. Hello, 1 2. All right, that's on about on the Ranger. It looks like that's on about 2 on the control. How's that one?
Well, that's better. It still sounds terrible compared to the ART13. I'm live streaming this. If you want, you can go back and look at it later.
Okay. Oh well. I don't know. That's got the audio almost turned off on the transmitter. The gain may have been set way high on this amp and the mic, but it may need the golden screwdriver inside of it. But I thought but it seems to have gotten most of the hum gone. Is that correct? Over.
Yeah, the hum. I don't hear any hum. You're okay there. What is that? That surely isn't a D104, is it?
It surely is.
Huh. Okay. Well, I mean, it sounds better now. I mean, I would let it go. I'm spoiled by listening to that ART13, but it just doesn't have any crisp, no highs, and it's missing highs. But is that the same mic that you used on the D1 on the ART?
No, this is one I had on an LMAC. Let's see. Wait a minute. I can swap. I think I've got another powered D104 on another transmitter. You guys go ahead, and I'll try another mic and be back.
Okay. All right. Well, that'll work. Cliff, you got a little hum on yours, and it's funny how it sounds. I don't know if it's the SDR or what, but when you modulate it, the hum changes intensity somehow. So it kind of like when you talk, the level of it goes up, and then when you stop talking, it goes down. It's kind of I've noticed that on a couple of people, and if I didn't have a big speaker, I wouldn't even notice it. But it kind of makes like a rumbly sound. I'm not sure what I'm hearing really, but I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, this is like I say, Chuck's LMAC. It's got somebody's they've done a lot of mods in it, Steve. They've got a fan in it, and I'm kind of wondering. I've heard that on him, and I'm kind of wondering if that fan's not doing something. It's a 12-volt fan. They've rectified the filament voltage and got that hooked up, and it's sitting right above the modulation transformer and on the tubes. I'm kind of wondering if that fan's not doing something.
Yeah, on your voice peaks, the hum goes up, and so if I could tune out your voice with my ear somehow, I would hear boom, 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 like that. So I don't know exactly what's going on there.
Yeah, it seems like I've noticed that on Chuck. He when he runs this rig, I thought it was something on his amp. He's usually driving the SB220 and pushing it pretty hard. But I don't know. I've got another LMAC I can plug in, eliminate the power supply.
Well, I'll be here if you want to try it.
Yeah, let me switch them around here and just make sure this is a homebrew power supply that I built, and make sure it's not something in it.
Alrighty, I went to a different D104. Did that make any difference?
Give me a sentence and tell me about the tree otters.
Oh, that's a spotted tree penguin. Oh, mercy. I tell you what. They tried to they were going to build a new bridge up here for Highway 19E across Toll River. And some tree-hugging group raised all manners of Cain because they would disturb the elk toe mollusk. Anyway, N4LQ, W84LLR.
Yeah, it sounds about the same. A little bit of hum in there. Now, I didn't notice it before. When you stopped talking, I could hear it. But it just kind of distorted sounding. I mean, it's just one of those things, I guess. I don't know what you're going to do about that. But it's hard to beat the ART-13 for sound. Well, we got this road construction up the street here, building a bypass around Shelby. I keep an eye on it, and I walk by there, drive by there every day. But to start with, they put one of these silt fences up. You know what those are, and this thing goes for half a mile. Winds around things, and it's bright orange plastic stuff, you know, and little metal stakes about 2 feet high. And so they started bulldozing, and they went down the hill. They went right through the creek with the bulldozers and scraping out the road. And they didn't put any silt fence up across the creek. It's really the only place, if they need one at all, that would be the only place they need one, because that creek goes right into the lake, which is a reservoir. So, what hypocrites. WA4LLR, N4LQ.
I know what you mean. Alrighty, let's see if Cliff's got his power supply swapped out. Are you back, Cliff? WB4NKL, WA4LLR.
Yeah, that's WB4NKL. I'm on the same rig. It's not an easy swap. This one's Chuck's has got the antenna relay built in, and some more things I'd have to change transmitters. But this is a real good looking 68. But somebody's really done some change, and they've added some kind of a peak limiter, Steve. It's got resistor in there, sliding tap, and a couple of diodes there on the modulator. I guess it's a negative peak limiter. And then they've done away with the regulator tube and got some kind of solid state regulator in there. And then it's got a tune position that lowers the screen voltage to go to tune. And, I mean, and they did a neat job, but it's full of mods. So, no telling.
Okay. Well, it sounds different. It doesn't have that rumble anymore, but there is still some hum. But I think just about all of them got a little bit of hum. Overall, I think it sounds better, and I'm trying to figure out why. I think it's a little hot. Maybe you might need to turn the modulator down a little bit.
Let me turn it all the way down and see if you hear any hum.
No, I didn't hear hardly any hum at all there.
Okay, that was with the mic gain all the way down. Well, I'll get something here where I can listen to it locally and play around with it a little bit more. But like I say, it's not a standard LMAC.
Yeah, well, that rumbling did kind of improve, but yeah, there's definitely doesn't sound like a standard LMAC, but it sounds good. It's plenty clear enough, and I would say, go ahead and use it, but I'm not sure what the power supply is up to.
Yeah, the power supply looks rich as one I built, and looking at the ripple, it's better than the original LMAC supply. I've regulated the low B plus, so there's no ripple on the low B plus, and about 2 volts ripple on the high, which is a little better than the original LMAC. But I've got it turned upside down now, and that fan is sort of pushed down against the top of the bench. So I'm betting it's that fan.
Oh, you mean it's not spinning anymore?
Yeah, it's spinning, but it's not sucking as much air. I've got it, like I say, they mounted it right on top of the modulation transformer. I got it flipped upside down to where it's changed the characteristics of it, I guess. I was trying to look to see if I could unhook it pretty easy, but I'm not seeing where it's hooked up.
I don't think LMAC was too concerned about purity of the power supply, since it was kind of a mobile-oriented type thing. So, did you do anything to the high voltage, or is it still just one big capacitor?
Yeah, it's just one big capacitor, but it's, let's see, 60 microfarad, got 2 of them in series, 60 microfarad of filtering. And this one, the transformer I had, didn't have a tap, so I used a MOSFET and regulated the high voltage down for the low voltage.
Well, fellas, I'm gonna bail out on this one. I appreciate the feedback, and we'll struggle with it another day. You boys carry on. 7-3, God bless, and we'll look for you tomorrow. WA4LLR.
Hell, I want to hear that Babcock. That's what I want to hear. Get that thing going, Dave. WA4LLR, good morning. M4LQ.
73's, Dave, and I think you sound a lot better than you did the other day on the Ranger, so probably a lot of it's microphone related, and then you might have some capacitor issues, but it's never had any of those changed in the modulator section. Possibility, and those resistors are bad to drift. I would look at those and check the resistor values also in the modulator preamp circuit. Steve, I'm gonna It's doing something else here that's kind of weird. When you go to the zero beat, it's got a pretty bad hum in the, you hear a hum in the receiver instead of a pure tone, and I'm not sure what that's about. I'm going to chase that a little bit too. Like when you go to zero beat somebody, there's a lot of hum there.
Yeah, that's funny because mine does the same thing, but sometimes it doesn't. I never figured out how it could be doing that. I mean, that all that does is turn on the low voltage to the VFO. I think that's the only place that gets it when you flip that switch. And if you got it regulated and filtered and all that, I can't figure out how it does it. But that's the way mine does. Sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it's just as pure and clean. I'm like, what's going on here? Never have. I didn't worry about it, but sometimes it's a loud hum. It's really bad. You're trying to zero beat somebody. It's kind of weird. So I don't know what to think about it.
Well, it's funny you said that. I was playing with it yesterday, and one time it didn't. It was clean as could be. So, I don't know. That's kind of weird. But you can look at that coming out of that MOSFET, that low B plus, and you don't see any ripple on it. I mean, it's way better than an LMAC would look. You know, the LMAC supply, because it regulates out all the ripple. I don't know. That's kind of weird. Why we do it sometimes and not others, and I even noticed that on just listening to it here on the modulation. Seemed like it was the hum was real bad, and I tried it again, and it was clean. I don't know what to change it.
Man, that is really strange. I don't think I've got. Let me see here. Let me look at the scope here. I don't think there's any hum on this thing. If there is, it isn't much. I saw like 2% forward modulation when I wasn't talking. I think it's picking up a little bit of noise from the amplifier fan, but I think this Lettine is pretty clean.
That sounds good. That makes me want to get mine on there. What does it look like on the modulation percentage?
Well, it's hello 111, 112, and 90, 99 on the negative. So that's about as good as it gets for plate modulation.
That sounds great. This one's got a little bit of a ping in it like Terry's had before modified it, but I hadn't heard Chuck complain about it. Oh, goodness. I guess I'll get out. Thanks for checking out with me. I might try to unhook that fan, see if that makes any difference. I don't think anybody else runs a fan. The receiver could use the fan more than the transmitter, has been my experience. I'll get out, try to get a walk in here, and say 73s for now. Matt might catch you later on today. N4LQ, WB4NKF.
Well, yeah, it doesn't have the highs that some LMACs have. That's the only difference, and that rumbling business is gone. It's totally gone. So I don't know what you did with moving it around had to do with it, but anyway, yeah, I like to hear your Lettine, and I'm going to pull the coil out of this one, and I may try. It's got the antenna of the secondary wound around right up tight against the primary on this plug-in coil. It's just one of those, like it looks like a coil out of a ocean hopper, and somebody put that in there, and it's wound tight around it and needs a little gap. So I may try to figure out a way to put some kind of a gap in there by using a thin piece of plastic or something to give it some air in between the windings and loosen the coupling up a little bit. Okay, well, if you figure that VFO trick out, let me know. 73s, Cliff, WA4L, WB4, NKL, N4LQ.
I flipped it up, back up the way I had it. Is the rumble back?
Yeah, it sure is.
I'm a betting it's that fan. Let's see. I'll cut that loose and holler at you later on.
All righty. If you want to do it now, I'll wait. But anyway, we'll talk to you later.
Well, I can cut the lead going to it. I just have to splice it back if I don't cure it. Hold on just a minute. Okay, the fan has been disabled.
No, I think it's still there.
Well, I don't know what's different than turning it upside down. That's weird.
Yep, it's still rumbling. So, flip it back again and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm upside down now.
Well, it didn't do anything on those few words.
Okay. Maybe I'll just tell Chuck to flip it upside down.
Oh boy, that's getting weird. I don't know what to think about that, but yeah, it sounds better.
That is weird. I was thinking that fan could be the only source of that. Well, maybe it's got something loose in the tube or something. I'll get something where I can listen to it myself and play with it a little bit more. See what I can come up with.
Yeah, there's something on the ragged edge there. Like every now and then, between words, when you don't talk, it sounds like it's trying to kind of motorboat, kind of a thump, 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 real low frequency bass, and that's what's varying, I think. Try holding the mic in and not talking. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I got a real low hum, and it kind of flutters. And then I bet if you rattle it or bang on it or something, it'll change.
Well, let's see what I got here. I don't want to use too big a hammer. It's a flashlight. Probably hear me pecking on the chassis.
Oh yeah, I can hear you pecking on it, and that didn't change anything. Maybe it's the position in relation to something else.
Yeah, that's a table. Don't have anything. It's a wooden table. I don't know. Kind of weird. Yeah, I have noticed on Chuck's signal. Like I say, I thought it was the amp, but I'm believing it's the LMAC. It's got, who knows, several mods in it.
Yeah, it's like you're getting some kind of super low frequency feedback in there somewhere, and you're not gonna. You might be able to see it on a scope, but you won't be able to hear it unless you got a big old speaker on the receiver.
I'll look around at these, see if they made any big changes in the coupling in the audio amp. I see Tamron capacitors. It's a neat job. I mean, it's modded, but whoever did it did real neat work. And then I'm sure it's got a peak limiter, and I don't think that would change or put hum in it. It's only, but it's got tantalum bypass capacitors on the modulator tube, so they might be a lot heavier than what was originally there. And I don't see the coupling capacitor bit may be heavier.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, that hum gets into the modulation and mixes with it, and that's producing that rumble. I think sometimes people they change the coupling capacitors to a value that's so high that it passes everything, and that's one reason they used like 005s and stuff like that, is to kind of keep that from happening. And you do lose a little bit of lows, but you also pick up some unwanted hum and stuff when you do that.
Yeah, I'll look at that and see if he's changed. I see a .005 disc here. I'm thinking that's coupling. I don't have a schematic here in front of me, but I'll check everything before I give it back to him this time, because I have noticed it on his signal from time to time when he's running this. But he hadn't had any. He runs down on 3725 most of the time, and of the mornings with this rig. I don't think anybody else has complained to him about it.
No, yeah, I've noticed it too, and I didn't say anything because it's too hard to identify, and I don't want to get the reputation of being too picky. So I don't. Sometimes if it's something like that, I don't even say anything.
Yeah, I'll go over that circuit preamp, mic preamp. I'm sure it would. I don't think the peak limiter would cause it. Oh, I'll look at all that, Steve. Thanks for the help, and I'll spend a little more time with it. Catch you later. N4LQ, WB4NKL.
Yeah, the selective fading really affects it too. When your carrier fades down, your modulation comes up. I hear the hum real loud in there with the audio. That's an interesting phenomena. And I'm using synchronous AM, but it's still noticeable. Weird. Well, okay. I'll talk to you later. It's been fun. WB4NKL, N4LQ.